The 9...
On target within the time limit. The fastest way is to create a chain of 9 correct answers. Get your question wrong and you break the chain and lose all the money in that chain. But if you say the word bank before the question is asked, the money is safe. However, you start a new chain from scratch. Remember, team, at the end of the round, only money that's been banked can be carried forward. In round 1, there are 3 minutes on the clock. We'll start with the person whose name is first alphabetically. That's you, Andrew. Let's play The Weakest Link. First question is for £20. Start the clock. Andrew, according to the slogan coined by 19th century department store owner Marshall Field, the customer is always what?
Right.
Correct. Kelly, which of these types of coffee is topped with steamed milk and a dusting of cocoa powder, espresso or cappuccino?
Cappuccino.
Correct. Helen, in the pantomime Dick Whittington, which animal is a companion to the lead character?
Cat.
Correct. Linda.
Bank.
In 2002, in the TV series Ally McBeal, which flamboyant Australian character portrayed by Barry Humphries joined the permanent cast?
Dame Edna Everage.
Correct. Steve H. What M is a 4-letter word meaning to repair?
Mend.
Correct. Sarah. In beauty, for healthy and clear skin, it's recommended that every day one should cleanse, tone and what?
Moisturise.
Correct. Steve P. In American newspapers, the Wall Street Journal was founded to cover primarily what type of news, sport or business?
Business.
Correct. Mr. Weston, the children's game in which one player hides and the other players have to find them is called hide and what?
Seek.
Correct. Suzette, in pop music, which famous group was made up of Andy Summers, Stuart Copeland and Sting?
Police.
Correct. Andrew. In employment, what F is an arrangement whereby staff work an agreed number of hours but can choose when to start and finish?
No. Pass.
Flexi-time. Kelly, in Britain, the charitable organisation that provides trained first aid volunteers at public events is the St What ambulance?
John's.
Correct. Helen. What is an adage, an old saying or an old vegetable?
An old saying.
Correct. Linda.
Bang.
In maths, what is 56 plus 9?
65.
Correct. Steve H. In formal meetings, what A means to put off further proceedings to another time?
Abstain.
Adjourn. Sarah, in the popular saying, something that has no effect is like what off a duck's back?
Water.
Correct. Steve P. In 17th century London, which started first, the Great Fire or the Great Plague?
The Great Plague.
Correct. Mr. Weston, in France, which major river flows through Paris?
Seine.
Correct. Suzette. In children's cartoons, the animated canine Lawman was called Deputy who?
Dog.
Correct. Andrew. What S is the term for a large pair of scissors used for cutting cloth and is also the name of a gardening tool used for trimming hedges?
Secateurs.
Shears. Kelly. In cookery, which word precedes soup, pie, cake and finger to give the names of 4 common food dishes?
Pass.
No fish. Helen. If you are a customer in a shop, what are you, the vendor or the vendee?
The vendee.
Correct. Linda. Which domestic appliance is normally described as either upright or cylinder?
Hoovers. Vacuum cleaners.
I'll accept vacuum cleaner or Hoover. Steve H. In maths, what is 401 plus 402?
803.
Correct. Sarah. In ornithology, what H is a shelter where bird watchers can remain out of sight of the birds?
A hide.
Correct. Steve
Bang.
P. The date displayed on a food product after which a soup... Time's up, and you banked £750, which actually isn't as good as it sounds, because you had a chain of 9 correct answers, so you could easily have reached your target. Who turns out to be very dim indeed? Who perhaps has lost you money by banking too soon? Don't worry about meeting them at work tomorrow. Linda. It's an interesting hairdo.
Well, you know, got to give it a go, haven't you? Rough night last night.
It looks it.
Mm.
Why Andrew?
Because he got flexi time wrong, and as a director of a company, I think he should have known that.
Mr. Weston, is anyone at the store allowed to call you by your Christian name?
Very, very, very rarely.
Why?
Because I'm in this position of great authority, and this has to be defended and protected at all times. It's most important.
Oh. Does Mrs. Weston get to call you by your Christian name?
Very, very occasionally.
Are you a bit frightened of Mrs. Weston?
Very much.
She's the boss at home, is she?
Gosh, yes. She's a bit like you.
Right. Is Andrew technically above you?
He certainly is definitely above me.
Is he the boss's son who's not very bright?
He certainly is very bright, yes.
Why has he been so stupid today?
I think he put it down to nerves.
Kelly, what do you do?
I work in the restaurant.
Does Andrew come into the restaurant?
He does, yes.
And what do you think of Andrew?
I think all my bosses are lovely.
What do you say about Mr. Weston behind his back?
Not too many nasty things.
Tell us one of them. What's his nickname? Westy? Is he called Westy?
We'll go with that 'cause it's pleasant.
Oh, he's called something else, is he? Oh, we'll soon get that out of one of you. Well, statistically, as you all managed to grasp, Andrew was the worst player. Andrew, with 8 votes, you're the...
CB.
No, CAB. Steve H. In money, the reverse of the UK 1-penny coin shows a representation of what? Crossed swords or a portcullis?
Portcullis.
Correct, Sarah. In fashion, on which part of the body would one wear a toupee?
On one's head.
Correct, Steve. P. In religion, the Western Wall in Jerusalem is also known by what other English name?
Pass.
Wailing Wall. Mr. Weston, in
Bang.
warfare, what D is a small explosive charge that triggers and ignites a less sensitive high explosive?
Detonator.
Correct, Suzette. In radio, TV and audio, the term mic is an abbreviation for which piece of sound equipment?
Microphone.
Correct, Kelly.
Bank.
What type of alcoholic drink would you find if you opened a Jeroboam, champagne or brandy?
Champagne.
Correct, Helen. In the Cumbrian town of Appleby, what kind of animals are sold at the famous annual fair?
Pass.
Horses, Linda. In DIY, what name is given to a frame of 2 upright supports linked with parallel rungs or steps and used to reach inaccessible areas?
A ladder.
Correct, Steve H. In which 1984 film was the famous line, "I'll be back," delivered by Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Terminator.
Correct, Sarah. What word is the slang term for a £5 note and the name of a character in the novel Watership Down?
Funny.
Fiver. Steve P. In nature, the osprey hunts by diving into water and catching fish with its what, beak or talons?
Talons.
Correct. Mr. Weston, in the BBC programme 2001 TV Moments, a goal by which footballer was voted the best moment of the year?
Pass.
David Beckham. Suzette, in supermarkets, what's the English word for what Americans call a shopping cart?
Trolley.
Correct, Kelly. In clothing, what G is the name given to a band, usually of elastic, worn around the leg to hold up a sock or stocking?
Garter.
Correct, Helen.
Bag.
Which winter sport originated in Scotland and is played on ice with brushes and granite stones?
Curling.
Correct, Linda. If an employee takes a 45-minute lunch break every day, how much time do they spend at lunch in a 5-day week?
120 minutes.
3 hours and 45 minutes or 225 minutes. Steve H. In March 2002, which Tomb Raider actress adopted a Cambodian baby boy with husband Billy Bob Thornton?
Angelina Jolie.
Correct, Sarah. In medicine, what he describes a disease that is permanently present within a population?
Epidemic.
No, endemic. Steve P. Someone who is in prison is commonly said to be under lock and what?
Key.
Correct, Mr. Weston. In agriculture, when milking a cow by hand, a person traditionally sat upon a seat known as a milking what?
Stool.
Correct, Suzette. Time's up, and that was a completely disgraceful performance. Perhaps you needed the boss's son. You banked only £100. Who really does have a bargain basement brain? Who isn't even decent window dressing? You work in the warehouse.
I do.
Wouldn't you rather work in the store?
No, I like working behind the scenes. It's a bit quieter.
Do you have to report to Mr. Weston?
Yes, occasionally.
Is he a bit stuck up?
I don't find him stuck up, no.
What's irritating about him?
Tonight it's his shirt, actually, his tie.
Why are you voting him off?
You got a question wrong in that round.
Steve P. You work in the carpet department.
That's right, yes.
Is that a sample on your head?
I'm sorry you feel that way.
Well, it's a bit out of fashion hair like that, isn't it?
I'm in a band, so it suits the look of the band
So where does your heart lie, in music or in carpets?
in music.
That's it. So
Yeah.
why are you bothering with the carpet department?
Everyone needs to make a living.
Oh, so you're not much interested in carpets?
They're not that interesting, really, are they?
No. Why are you voting Mr. Weston off?
He got a question wrong, he didn't bank any money, and it's nice to have a bit of power, you know, for one day.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Sarah, what department are you in?
I work for a concession.
So
in
you
ladies'
work
fashion.
in ladies' fashion. Is that an example of their
It is,
fashion?
yes.
What, it's to cover up the figure, is it?
Not at all, no.
Oh, well, why would we want to wear loose things like that?
Because I like the colour.
But if you had a decent figure, why would you cover it up?
Well, I just like long flowing things like you, Anne.
Yes, but mine are designer wear, and you can see the rest of my figure in mine.
That's true.
Now, why are you voting Mr. Weston off?
Because he got the David Beckham question wrong.
He did indeed. He wasn't the weakest link, Sarah was. Mr. Weston. Oh, Westy, you are the weakest link. Bye.
Devastated, absolutely devastated. I thought I'd get through at least to the final two. To be voted off, second person in, I just can't describe it. It's so disheartening. It's not true. I'm really shattered. I hope Steve P will be the next person to be voted off, because he revealed in his answering to Anne that he was really more interested in music than carpet. So I'm afraid he has to go.
Round 3. And out of a possible £2,000, you've banked just £850. You've got rid of the 2 bosses, so perhaps we'll see an improvement. 7 of you left, another 10 seconds coming off the time. We'll start the strongest link from the last round. That's Steve H. Let's play the weakest link. Stop. Steve H. in ballet, the name given to the principal female of a classical ballet company is the prima what?
Ballerina.
Correct. Sarah. In nature, which widely cultivated flowering shrub has varieties called damask, hybrid musk and floribunda?
Roses.
Correct. Steve P.
Bank.
In horse racing, what G is a term used for the prevailing condition of the ground on the course?
Grid.
Going. Suzette. Who was President of the United States between Jimmy Carter and George Bush Sr.?
Ronald Reagan.
Correct. Kelly. In pop music, at the 2002 Grammy Awards, which Irish group received the award for Best Rock Performance?
Westlife.
U2. Helen. In the animal kingdom, which of the following is not a freshwater fish, mackerel or pike?
Mackerel.
Correct. Linda. In the Gregorian calendar, which is the 11th month of the year?
December.
November. Steve H. What is the name for an informal collection of money from work colleagues for a specific purpose, such as a leaving present?
Collection.
No, a whip round. Sarah. In home furnishing, what name is given to a matching set of furniture, especially a set of 2 armchairs and a sofa?
3-piece suite.
Correct. Steve P. In the media, what S is a 5-letter word for an exclusive news story that is reported in one newspaper before all the others?
A scoop.
Correct. Suzette. In economics, a period of prosperity followed by one of depression is called boom and what?
Pass.
No, bust. Kelly. Which liquid is humorously referred to as Adam's ale?
Cider.
Water. Helen. In language, the word prodigal means what? Wasteful or talented?
Talented.
Wasteful. Linda. In TV, which 1980s comedy drama starring Jimmy Nail and Kevin Waitley has been revived by the BBC for 2002 with a new series set in Arizona?
Pass. Gone.
Auf Wiedersehen, pet. Steve H. In retail, the phrase coined by Tesco founder Jack Cohen was pile it high, sell it what?
Cheaply.
No, cheap. Sarah. In which city are the Scottish Exhibition and Conference Centre and the Burrell Collection?
Glasgow.
Correct. Steve P. In architecture, what B is the name given to the walls with gaps for firing through around the top of a castle?
Barracks.
No, battlements. Suzette. In sport, the main stadium for the 2002 Commonwealth Games is to become the home ground of which English professional football club?
QPR.
No, Manchester City. Kelly. In common parlance, someone who has had too much to drink is said to be under which item of furniture?
Stairs.
No, the table. Helen. In country music, what? Time's up, and without the 2 bosses, you banked just £70. Who doesn't even deserve a refund? Who's got out at the wrong floor? Who is definitely past their sell-by date? From 1066.
Harold.
No, William I. Steve P. In psychology, the term coined by Edward de Bono for the solving of problems by unorthodox means is lateral what?
Thinking.
Correct. Kelly. What's the term for a business person who recruits by targeting staff in other companies? And for a savage who decapitates his victims?
Headhunter.
Correct. Helen. In food and drink, Port Salut is a type of what? Wine or cheese?
Wine.
No cheese. Linda. In a referendum in March 2002, which traditionally neutral country voted to join the United Nations?
Switzerland.
Correct. Steve H. In business, what W is the name for a large building used to store excess stock or wholesale merchandise?
Warehouse.
Correct. Sarah. In home entertainment, what name is given to a TV with a screen size ratio of 16:9 rather than 4:3?
Digital.
Widescreen. Steve P. Which three-letter word follows travelling, sleeping and shopping to give the names of 3 types of container?
Bag.
Correct. Kelly. In body language, akimbo means with hands on which part of the body?
Hips.
Correct. Helen. In geography, what name is shared by an American state and a former Soviet republic?
Don't know. Pass.
Georgia. Linda. In cooking, which wine is traditionally used in the French dish coq au vin, red or white?
Red.
Correct. Steve H. In pop music, which female singer released a greatest hits album in 2002 featuring the songs People and The Way We Were?
Don't know.
Barbara Streisand. Sarah. Which fictional department store featured in the TV series Are You Being Served?
Grace Brothers.
Correct. Steve P.
Bang.
In telecommunications, what B is the name of the UK city with the area code 0121?
Birmingham.
Correct.
Bang.
Kelly. Restrictions introduced in 1915 compel pubs in England and Wales to close at what time on weekdays unless a special licence has been obtained?
11 o'clock.
Correct. Helen. What name is given to a tank for the storage of water, especially one connected to a lavatory?
Cistern.
Correct. Linda.
Bang.
In southern England, Goodwood Racecourse is near which cathedral city, Chichester or Canterbury?
Canterbury.
No, Chichester. Steve H. The 2002 film starring Sacha Baron Cohen is called Ali G in Da what?
City.
Da House. Sarah. In geography, the Great Barrier Reef lies off the northeastern coast of which country?
Australia.
Correct. Steve P.
Bank.
In security, what M means a bodyguard, especially of a criminal?
Don't know.
Minder. Time's up and you only banked £130. Who really cannot deliver the goods?
Customers. I think probably Helen will be voted off next because I think she has been quite weak all the way through.
Round 5, and you finally got over the £1,000. You've got £1,050 in the kitty. There are 5 of you left, another 10 seconds coming off the time. We'll start with the strongest link from the last round. That's Kelly. Let's play the weakest link. Start the clock. Kelly, in January 2002, the How to Cook series of books by which female British chef were published in France?
Delia Smith.
Correct. Helen. The coronation chair used in the crowning ceremony of British monarchs is housed in which large London church?
Pass.
Westminster Abbey. Linda. In American education, a freshman student is in which year of study, first or third?
First.
Correct. Steve H. In retailing, what term is used for a product that's labelled with the name of the supermarket in which it's sold?
Own brand.
Correct. Steve P.
Bang.
In the English language, which word could mean both a discharge of lightning and also a stout pin used for fastening a door?
Bolt.
Correct. Kelly, in 2002, which map was redesigned to enable people with mobility problems to use the transport system in London more easily?
The railway.
No, the London Underground map. Helen, in video games, what T is the name of the game developed in Russia in the 1980s in which differently shaped sets of 4 blocks fall down the screen?
Tetris.
Correct. Linda. In science, a product that does relatively little ecological damage is popularly known as environmentally what?
Friendly.
Correct. Steve H.
Bang.
When used to describe an alleged work of art, the term Sexton Blake is rhyming slang for what?
Fake.
Correct. Steve P. According to the poem by the humorist James Payn, a piece of toast always falls on which side, butter side up or butter side down?
Butter side up.
No, down. Kelly, in politics, Juan Perón was twice the president of which South American country?
Peru.
Argentina. Helen, which word meaning a place where food is served in the armed services is also a general term for a state of confusion or muddle?
Mess.
Correct. Linda, what T is a mechanical gate with metal arms that are turned to admit one person at a time, usually in one direction only?
Turnstile.
Correct. Steve H.
Bang.
In money, something that doesn't cost a lot of money but is nevertheless very attractive is said to be cheap and what?
Cheerful.
Correct. Steve P. In science, divide by 5, multiply by 9, and then add 32 is the formula for converting degrees Celsius into degrees what?
Fahrenheit.
Correct. Kelly, in March
Thanks.
2002, Martin Lee was ranked 3rd best British player in which sport?
Golf.
Tennis. Helen, on the flag known as the Jolly Roger, the skull and crossbones are set against what colour background?
Black.
Correct. Linda. Time's up and you banked £200. But whose head is on half-day closing? Whose
I think Linda will be voted off next, as she picked on me for my questions being wrong. Load of rubbish, so she should go off next.
Round 6, and so far you've won £1,250. So you've got to start working hard if anyone wants to go to Barbados for their holidays this year. You're down to 4 players. We're cutting another 10 seconds from your time. We'll start with the strongest link from the last round. That's Steve H. Let's play the weakest link. Start the clock. Steve H. In geography, the East China Sea forms part of which ocean?
Indian.
Pacific. Steve P. In the 1970s TV series Randall and Hopkirk Deceased, which of the two wore a white suit?
Randall.
Hopkirk. Helen. In the 1981 film Raiders of the Lost Ark, what was the name of the Harrison Ford character?
Indiana Jones.
Correct. Linda. According to the children's song, Pussycat, Pussycat, where have you been? The cat frightened what under a chair?
The king.
Mouse. Steve H. On a conventional clock, which of the 3 hands takes the longest time to make a complete revolution of the face?
The hour.
Correct. Steve P. The comedian Frank Skinner is a well-known supporter of which Midlands football club?
Norwich City.
No, West Bromwich Albion. Helen. In 2001, a greengrocer from Sunderland was charged with using unauthorised scales and was popularly dubbed a metric what?
Don't know.
Marta. Linda. In the UK, which specific name is given to a room or building designed to house a collection of books?
Library.
Correct. Steve H. In pop music, Gonna Make You a Star and Hold Me Close were 1970s UK hit singles for which British singer?
David Essex.
Correct. Steve
Bank.
P. In March 2002, which BBC show introduced a digitally animated presenter called Maddie?
Pass.
Tomorrow's World. Helen. In the
Bank.
UK, which decade did Ramsay MacDonald lead the first Labour government?
60s.
20s. Linda. In the English education system, the national curriculum is divided into 4 sections called Key what?
Stages.
Correct. Steve H. How many years of marriage are celebrated by a Pearl wedding anniversary?
25.
30. Steve P. In cinema, who directed the films Reservoir Dogs and Jackie Brown?
Quentin Tarantino.
Correct. Helen. Which surname links a Victorian missionary and explorer called David and a 21st century mayor named Ken?
Don't know.
Livingston. Linda. In modern literature, which American author wrote the 2002 best-selling novel The Cottage?
Ernest Hemingway.
Danielle Steele. Steve H. In science, the needle on a magnetic compass points in which direction?
North.
Correct. Steve
Bang.
P. In the TV drama scene. Time's up and you banked £70. But who's not as bright as they look? Who would have been better off left behind the counter? It's time to vote off the weakest link.
Steve H. remains the strongest link as he gave the most correct answers. Statistically, Helen is the weakest link, but
Really very, very annoyed at being voted off in the 6th round. I thought I was getting stronger all the time. I was looking forward to going into the head-to-head with Steve. I will definitely be having a word with him later. So I'd like to see Helen voted off next because she's had quite a few bad rounds. She's not performing well, so she really ought to go.
Round 7, and so far you've banked £1,320 out of a possible 6,000. 3 of you left, another 10 seconds coming off the time. We'll start with the strongest link from the last round. That's Steve H. Let's play the weakest link. Start the clock. Steve H. With a popular saying, a domestic source of worry or shame that a family keeps secret is known as a skeleton in the what?
Closet.
I'll accept. Closet or cupboard? In World War II, what was the German name of the branch of the Nazi armed forces that fought in the Battle of Britain?
Third Reich.
No, Luftwaffe. Helen, in Anglo-Saxon mythology, Beowulf was killed trying to slay what sort of mythical beast?
Dragon.
Correct. Steve H. In football, which Welsh club plays its home matches at Ninian Park?
Cardiff.
Correct.
Bank.
Steve P. In maths, what is 600 minus 598?
2.
Correct. Helen. In geography, what name is given to the Atlantic region infamous for apparently strange disappearances of ships and planes?
The Bermuda Triangle.
Correct. Steve H.
Bank.
In literature, the poet John Donne was demon in which English cathedral?
Pass.
St Paul's. Steve P. In the Royal Navy, what's the home port for its 3 aircraft carriers?
Portsmouth.
Correct. Helen. In food, a person who eats all the necessary nutrients in the correct proportions is said to have a balanced what?
Diet.
Correct. Steve H.
Bank.
What term for a deceitful person can also mean nonsense and is the name of a striped mint-flavoured sweet?
Pass.
Humbug. Steve P. In which 1984 film comedy did Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis play characters attempting to save New York from evil spirits?
Ghostbusters.
Correct, Helen. In books, the name of the James Jones novel set in Hawaii during the Second World War is From Here to Where?
Don't know.
Eternity. Steve H. In Law and Order, until it was abolished in the UK in 1948, many criminals were sentenced to a punishment known as hard what?
Labour.
Correct. Steve P. In a domestic hi-fi, a series of sliders that allows the adjustment of bands of frequency, such as bass, is a graphic what?
Equalizer.
Correct, Helen. In newspapers in 2000, Susie in the City replaced City Slippers. Time's up and you banked £170. Now, in round 8, you get the chance to treble what you bank, so potentially there's £3,000 to be won. The question is, who is going to help you raise that bank balance? Who is only going to do the bank balance?
I think Steve P will win. He's done really well all the way through. In the final, could go either way, but I think Steve P.
Round 8, and 2 members of the department store left. Helen from Schoolwear and Steve from Carpets. So far, you've won £1,490 out of a possible £7,000. And in this round, you have just 90 seconds, but whatever you bank will be trebled. So potentially, there's £3,000 to be won. We'll start with the strongest link from the last round. That's Steve P. Let's play the weakest link. Start the clock. Steve P. In archaeology, which country continues to lobby Britain for the return of the Elgin marbles?
Egypt.
Greece. Helen. In modern history, June the 6th, 1944 is more commonly known by what name?
Don't know.
D-Day. Steve P. In a 2002 survey measuring the quality of singing at football matches, which Premiership club was found to have the most tuneful supporters?
Man United.
Southampton. Helen. In March 2002, which actor who starred in the 1982 film Gandhi was knighted by the Queen?
Don't know.
Ben Kingsley. Steve P. In literature, the character of Mark Antony appears in Antony and Cleopatra, and which other Shakespeare play?
Pass.
Julius Caesar. Helen. In TV, the US sitcom Taxi was set at the Sunshine Cab Company of which city?
New York.
Correct. Steve P. In geography, the Egyptian town of Luxor stands on the bank of which river?
Nile.
Correct. Helen.
Pass.
You said pass.
Sorry.
Steve P. In London, which street known for its luxury hotels forms the eastern boundary of Hyde Park?
Regent Street.
Park Lane. Helen. Which word can mean to slash or chop or to gain unauthorised access to other computers?
Hack.
Correct. Steve P. In chemistry, which metal forms ferrous and ferric compounds?
Iron.
Correct. Helen. In construction, what is the 2-word term for a building material made from the ashes of coal or coke and moulded into a brick?
Don't know.
Breeze block. Steve P. On a standard computer keyboard, the escape key is usually represented by what 3-letter abbreviation?
Yes.
Time's up. That was the correct answer, and you were in time. And sadly, you managed to win absolutely nothing in that round where you could have put into the kitty an extra £3,000. That means prize money today of £1,490, but only one of you can take the money home. So now you'll play against each other head to head. I'll ask alternate questions best of 5. Whoever answers the most correctly wins. It's as simple as that. So Helen and Steve P. for £1,490. Let's play the weakest link. Steve P. is the strongest link in the last round. You have the choice of who goes first.
First, please.
Steve P. In the popular traditional song Frère Jacques, which 2 French words are repeated in the second line?
No.
Correct answer is dormez-vous. Helen, in ballroom dancing, which 5 words referring to the tempo of the foxtrot became the catchphrase associated with the band leader Victor Sylvester?
No, don't know.
Correct answer is slow, slow, quick, quick, slow. Steve P. Which 1994 film features the dish duck a la banana as a speciality of the character Gareth, played by Simon Callow?
No, sorry.
Correct answer is 4 Weddings and a Funeral. Helen, in literature, which former horse racing trainer published her first novel in March 2002 entitled On the Edge?
Don't know.
Correct answer is Jenny Pittman. Steve P. In February 2002, the Senate of which country voted to lift a ban on members of its royal family, the House of Savoy, returning from exile?
France.
No, the correct answer is Italy. Helen, which word can describe both a mender of shoes and a type of fruit pie frequently made with peaches?
Don't know.
Cobbler. Steve P. In astronomy, in March 2002, a US space shuttle was launched to repair and upgrade which satellite?
Hubble.
That is the correct answer. Helen, which airline shares its name with the medieval European name for China?
No.
The correct answer is Cathay Pacific. Steve P., if you answer this question correctly, you've won, so for £1,490. In TV, which series of the 1990s featured a Canadian Mountie helping a Chicago detective to solve crimes with the aid of a deaf wolf?
Due south.
That is the correct answer. That means, Steve P., you are today's strongest link, and you go away with £1,490. Helen, you leave with nothing. Join us again for the weakest link. Goodbye.
The management, I think, will be very, very surprised that I got through. Good for the schoolwear department, but I think they will be very shocked.
I am absolutely ecstatic. Can't believe I won, and I can't wait to get back to Hereford and spend all my winnings.
Even if I'd have had the other set of questions, I think I'd still be standing here a loser because I couldn't answer his either.
And I won't be spending any of my winnings on getting a haircut.